All right, let's get into it. Episode 4, Lost Mine of Fandelver. It's the Mad DM, a diary. All right, so last night we had episode 4. Basically what I try to do in these diaries, videos, breakdowns is just kind of recap what happened in the night. Mainly the key moments. I might end up going through the whole thing because I never recap it. I basically just tell it all. Give my DM highlights, like the things that I messed up, the things that I observed and witnessed that I liked, that I didn't like, that tips that I can give to players, tips that I can give to my future self, say don't do that again, or just to give me things to think about. So that's really what's going down. So this is the third video. Episodes 2 and 3 were combined into one, even though I called that episode 4. This is really episode 4 here, and we're gonna name this one the Cragmaw Hideout because y'all just went through the Cragmaw Hideout. And just to give a quick overview of who's in the party, we have Quarian Kegbeard, who's an elf artificer. Artificer is an unofficial class through Unearthed Arcana. I mean, it's really fleshed out. They just dropped a new version of Artificer in February. It's pretty dope. Highly recommend it. Magic users, infusing stuff, tinkerers, real cool stuff. And Quarian's got some cool things he's doing now and some real cool story things that we're putting in for later. We've got Hank, the half-orc paladin, who's got an interesting and embattled past, which has come up a few times. We've got Bean Bushgatherer, the halfling rogue, doing all kinds of sneak attack damage. We've got Archie the Strong, who's a dwarf ranger, who's here because he's here about a dragon, or to learn how to kill dragons specifically. And then we've got Melman Namfoodle. Actually, it's more like, Melman Namfoodle, eh? I'm here to see about the dragons, yeah? Melman is a gnome wizard, and yeah, everybody had big moments this week, by the way. Role play, actual play, rolling, like everything came together in this. We leveled up, everybody got new HP, people got new spells. People like the ranger got spells for the first time, and everybody showed up today with some A game. We were checking for traps, we were rolling crits, we were just doing big stuff, and it was goodness all around. Don't mind my my cord organizer. I'm a little bit anal when it comes to cords. But basically, I bought these little Velcro guys so that I could like keep my cords organized. Even though if you look around this rat's nest, you would say, "Well, why don't you fucking use them, brah?" You know what? Bobby Brown said it's my prerogative. Anyhow, I digest and I come back, and I would just like to say that, yeah, I know, I did it on purpose. Coming into this session, the crew was in Phandalin, had just met with the town council, the improvised town council that was trying to find ways to incent you to get rid of the red brands. And in between them saying, hey, if you get rid of the red brands, we'll see what we can do to get you the deed to that house on the hill, the manor, Tressendor Manor, Tressendar, I don't know, have to look that up. Either way, the manor. In between that ending of the session and the beginning of this, because I believed you guys were going to go to the red brand hideout and try and clear them out, there were some conversations which I would love to be a part of, just to hear how you guys are thinking about tactics and strategy. But I understand why you don't include me, because hey, I might use it against you. I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. No, I'm serious, I wouldn't. But I got to hear a little bit of it last night because you said, I was like, all right, what are you gonna do? And there was conversation like, hey, I think we should go back to the trail that we started on the way into Phandalin, when we saw that horses were attacked and we picked up goblin tracks on a trail. Let's go back there, because maybe there's something there. And plus Leanne Coster, she owns the Lion Shield Coster inside town. She said, I had a whole bunch of supplies, some healing potions, some weapons, some potentially magic items, who knows, stolen and taken, and potentially it was by these same goblins that killed your horses and maybe kidnapped the guys that you were trying to meet up with. So you guys decided to go back, and I heard somebody say like, well, maybe we're not high enough level. And I think that's a smart decision. That's metagaming AF, hashtag AF, but it's smart metagaming because you know that there's levels, and you know that there are creatures that have levels higher than you, and maybe the red brands are more powerful than the goblins. I can neither confirm nor deny this. Anyhow, y'all went there. Some good passive perception and some good rolls. Overcame some traps and was nothing for you. There was a nice crit roll by Bean to see the sentries, the lazy sentries, playing patty cake or something like that. So they missed you. You guys dispatched them super quick. And then heading into the cave, there was a cool Bean was like, hey, can anybody else not see in the cave? Like, and everybody else is like, nope, we all have dark vision. Everybody else in the party has dark vision except for Bean. It's kind of funny. I chuckled. I don't know. I chuckled. And I don't have my notes on me, but there was another good moment that I know I have to give some XP for. Somebody dropped a gem. This would be a good place to regale everyone with that, but I can't remember it, and my notes are in the car because I was too tired when I came home last night to pull it out, or today to pull it out. I didn't even prep for this. I'm just doing this off the cuff of my t-shirt. Oh, what else was there? You guys got in. Oh, the wolves. There were wolves. Apparently Archie, the dwarven ranger, speaks winter wolf. That's a language, and he speaks it. I wasn't ready for that. I don't think these are winter wolves, but I was like, screw it. You get advantage on wolf check, on animal handling check for these, because I want to see what happens. I want to see if you can talk to the wolves. Plus, it was kind of fun trying to make a wolf voice to talk to him that only he could hear. And you rolled like shite, mate. You only needed a 15. Oh, okay, only needed a 15. I mean, that can be a difficult roll. It's a difficult roll. Missed it. I gave you advantage. Cock die. Like, I did everything. You couldn't get there. And then somebody was like, hey, let's sneak around. I was like, go ahead, try. They attacked. And then somebody said, let's try and feed him, which is great because it lowered the difficulty rating. And then Archie, confusing reality and fantasy. Archie tried to talk to him again, lowered difficulty. Still couldn't get it because it went from a 15 to a 10 and he couldn't get it. Y'all just had to just slaughter the poor wolves. You guys then went through that room. You went through the fissure, up the chimney, into the next room, and found the freaking bad guy, like the big boss of the cave, and rolled beautifully on stealth checks. Melman freaking tripped and did some silly shit and put, let's see, in the room there was a bugbear, who's the boss of the cave. There are 2 goblins, and then there was a wolf. Melman put a sleep spell out, and it put the wolf and the 2 goblins to sleep, out cold. They didn't want none. And then 2 or 3 of you dispatched Clark like that. Hank freaking cleaved him in half from his shoulder. It was just, and I'm just like, really? I don't even get to swing an axe with the bad guy? And from there, you went through the rest of the cave. It was a cool moment coming out of the cave. There are these 2 tide pools, and the artificer, aka Quarian, said, like, I want to research these. I want to know what this is. And lo and behold, finds out that they're damned, and it really seems like they could be used to flood the rest of the cave, which is indeed what the DM was wanting to do when y'all came through and made too much noise, because that's what I was anticipating you would do and hoped you would do, but you did not. Instead, you unleashed it on the goblins that were at the front of the cave and took out like 2 or 3 goblins. Well done. Well done. One day I will get to use the traps that I set against you. And lastly, there was a room in the, well, what ended up being the back of the cave and the last room of the cave, which would have ended up being like the 2nd or 3rd area that you would have searched, with 6 goblins in it. And here's a thing. It was a busy day yesterday. I did not get any prep done. Now I've read this entire campaign at least probably 1.5, 2 times. So I'm somewhat aware of all of the creatures and the rooms and the encounters and everything that's going on. Plus, I've written some custom stuff to change some of the encounters. And so you guys sneak up to the room, and somebody's like, "Do they see us?" And I'm like, "Yeah, they see you. Roll initiative." And as you're doing that, I'm hurriedly reading, like, okay, I'm just confirming who's in the room. And I see that the head goblin in this room, the leader of these 6, hates Clark, the bugbear that you just killed. And so as you're rolling initiative, he steps up and he's like, hey, in broken common, because goblins could speak good common, but goblins could speak good. Yeah, they could. But this one doesn't. Very broken. And he's like, why here? Why here? Why are you here? And Quarian's like, why are you here? And this is a moment where I stepped out of what I think a traditional DM would be and stepped into new DM, new player mode and said, hey, Quarian, Quarian/party, you know something about this cave that this goblin doesn't know that might help you. And that last part might have been too far, like telling you that it might help you, but just saying, hey, you know stuff that he doesn't know, because it turns out he hated Barg and wanted nothing to do with him and was under his control. So Quarian picks up the hint and says, hey, we just killed some big bugbear in the other room. And he got really excited, and then he got really distrustful. He's like, you didn't kill a bugbear. And Quarian looks over at Archie and is like, you got that finger? And he waves the finger, and Clark's this little goblin whose name I don't remember, again notes, he just basically is like, take human, because oh yeah, I didn't say that. There were 6 goblins, and then there was this human in the room that was emaciated, slim, despondent. Was the word that I used, because somebody tried to yell through the room to him, and they were like, is that a fancy word for can't talk? I was like, yes. Yes, that is, Rob, a fancy word meaning he can't talk. And he was beaten within an inch or a hit point of his life. And but basically, with you taking them out, those goblins didn't want anything to do with you. They just heard you took out the big bad dude that they couldn't touch. They didn't want anything to do with you. So they take the human, who ended up being Sildar Hallwinter, who is the knight that Gundren Rockseeker hired to bring you to Phandalin in the first place. So if we rewind it all the way back, Gundren invited you all individually for different reasons to come on this mission. He hired Sildar to keep him safe, and you find Sildar. You haven't found Gundren, but you find Sildar, and he's emaciated. He's beat to within an inch of his life. You guys learned something from poor Darian that got an arrow in his throat. You learned that you can help people, and somebody threw a healing potion down his throat, and I think he got 6 or 8 hit points. He's feeling much better. He's starting to talk, and we'll pick up on how you get all the goods back to Phandalin and the conversations that you have there, what Sildar teaches you. At the beginning of the day, Melman spent 10-15 minutes at a library. He rolled like shite, but he did find 3 books. One of them was a history of the mines, and he got some information. I don't think he didn't share any of that information with the crew, so I won't share any of it here yet, because I don't know if he's going to. But he got some information about the mines, which were alluded to several times in earlier sessions, probably twice. Once in the most recent session by Mavia, who was the drow that you met after you ran into Kalarel. And Mavia was somehow just not a part of episode 4, which was basically me forgetting to mention what she was doing. So I'm going to retcon that at episode 5, because sometimes we forget shit, because sometimes there's a lot going on and you got to manage it all. And yeah. So there was the moment with Quarian when I stepped in and said, hey, you know something here that might help you. Then there was also a moment with Archie at the beginning of the cave encounter. Outside the cave, there were 2 goblins that were sentries, and one was killed very quickly, and another one had 1 hit point. I knew he had 1 hit point, nobody else did, and he was trying to get back into the cave, and Archie was up and wanted to use a spell. So Archie's the ranger. Archie just got set level 2, meaning now has spells. Never cast a spell in his life, like as a person or a player in D&D. He's like, I'm gonna cast a spell. And now I'm thinking at this point, I know that in the cave there's something like 12 goblins, 4 wolves, a bugbear, and a parched and a pear tree. So I'm like, I don't think you want to waste one of your 2 spells right here on this guy with 1 hit point. I didn't realize that you were going to go into the room and go kill the bad guy and do everything backwards and not even get a chance to use your spells because y'all rolled so well. So I feel mixed about this. I feel like I did you a service because had you done it the other way, that spell may have come in handy. At the same time, I altered what you were going to do, and I should have just let you do it, even though one hit, like, it would have been overkill for this goblin. But you didn't get to cast a spell. You didn't get your first spell casting experience. So for that, I feel bad, but it's kind of the struggle for me as a new DM. Like, when do I step in? When do I give advice? Do I give advice? Is that... And I think it'll probably be a thing where I'm heavy on advice in the first half of this campaign and light on advice in the back half, but who knows? The only other thing that I can think of, like a learning for myself, I caught myself being a sarcastic dick at a moment, and I even said it to you guys. I was like, oh, this game sometimes brings out the sarcasm in me. And really, like, I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm having so much fun doing this. Like, DMing, this is... The prep work, it gets long and it's hard, but I'm getting to write, I'm getting to create characters, I'm getting to poorly create. I'm not trying to, like, self-deprecate. I like doing voices and doing a wolf voice and a bugbear and a goblin and Leanne Custer's what is that? It's like a half Irish, Scottish, Australian accent, whatever it is I do. It's fun for me. It's so much fun. And then there are some moments, like, somebody will ask a question and I'm just like me, Rodney, I'm like, that was a dumbass question. But me, DM, is like, how can I help them through this? But there's that middle space where the sarcastic ass that sometimes inhabits this meat bag comes out. And I hope that that doesn't taint the fact that I am thoroughly enjoying this experience. So I'm really trying to just embody that more frequently. That's really all. Like, oh, the last thing I want to say, do you hear that? That is the Somnium Tenebris. Matthew Colville, somebody who has greatly helped me. He didn't inspire me to want to become a DM per se, but gave me some of the tools to become a DM, because he has this fantastic series on YouTube called Running the Game, and has given me, I mean, like, this on this campaign, I'm using a lot of stuff that's come from him. This music is something he made on his Wishimadabadoo. What's it called? Yeah, I don't even remember. It's he's got a like this synthesizer machine thing. If you go to Twitch and watch him, you'll see it. But this track is called Somnium Tenebris, which is just an unpaid, no reason for plug for his current D&D series called The Chain, which is streaming. Holy shit! On Wednesdays on Twitch. It's Wednesday, and I'm not on Twitch. I'm on YouTube posting this. I could be watching some dope D&D. Instead, I'm talking last night's D&D. Sometimes I wonder about myself and my prep. But Somnium Tenebris is a ship in the game. This badass Mind Flayer ship that's alive. It's a ship, and it has to eat. It's wicked. But that's all I got. I'll put a link below. This is on SoundCloud. I wanted to use something that was not copyrighted and free, but cool at the same time. So yeah, you know, that's all. That's all I got. I'll let you, boy. Deuces.